Right. We got some massive news, mate. We got some massive news in the CDL. So, Optic Gaming dropping Hook and going back to their World Championship winning roster. Um, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. Um, I'm thinking immediately is harsh on Hook in the sense that he's not done anything wrong. He's played very, very well. What's good, Sean? And he's now obviously lost his spot on a on a big team. Um, but uh, but I think right now, and I was having a conversation with my boy Arv, who's in chat. It's definitely for me the right decision to go. I mean, this is a roster. We know what the ceiling is. It's the it's being a world champion, right? Um, and I think Optic were disappointing. And obviously Hook is not responsible for that, but I think you have to look deeper than recent, like the most recent thing. Whatever, like you have to look a little bit more than whatever's recent and kind of have a better, sort of more holistic view of the situation. I think Pred stylistically complements his team a bit more than Hook. He's uh, obviously Shotzi and Hook have played pretty well in the past and have done it, but I think Pred's the way Pred plays, the he's almost as a follow up guy to Shotzi. I feel in a lot of situations, and I feel that that really works because their pacing is pretty good together. Um, but it's all a bit of a mental scenario. I think it was a tough one because if they kept Hook, I think you can't blame them for keeping Hook because he's played so well and he's really having like a good start to this game. What's really mad is that we're in February and I'm still talking about having a good start to the game. Um, but he's he's obviously had a good impact on the team. But what I was speaking to, especially what Arv said yesterday when I spoke to him, was from an ownership perspective as well. When you let a guy like that go, imagine like for free, you're just seeing Pred go to like another team, maybe even a contender, and you're seeing them level up, then it's kind of it's kind of crazy because you're in a situation where you had this like MVP caliber player, and um, he's now at he's now on like uh, possibly winning championships with another team, and it's a little bit of like a it's a double-edged sword, right? And it was a tough decision. Ultimately, I think they've gone in the right way. They've gone in the right direction. Let's just take a let's take a look at the statistics for the major. So they play seventh at Major One. Ivan, is there a way I can check the stats for the players, like in just for the event, or not? I guess we can see. Okay, so this is Major One KDs. So I mean, immediately, like, what are we looking at here? Like, shots he had the best KD on the team, and he's outside the top 20. I think that speaks to. So this is a point I'm trying to make: is when you look at you don't look at just the individuals. I think you have to look at a team. Like Shotzi is obviously not a player that is going to drop the 22nd KD. Same as Dashi. Dashi going into the event was arguably the for me, a top two player, and I think pretty objectively speaking, going into the event, um, a top two player and he's 31st in KD, average a negative KD throughout the tournament. And obviously, KD is not everything. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But what I'm trying to say is you look at the team holistically, and it doesn't make sense like where the numbers that they were putting up. And I think when you look at that, there's obviously something wrong that's not working from a team perspective. Um, and I think that's really important. The hard point performances, I think we just everyone can agree they were just really poor. Um, and so I think the changes is because I've seen. I mean, a lot of opinions I've seen is people hating on this move and saying that they didn't make a great um, decision. Obviously, dropping the guy that was their, arguably their best player at the event and things like that. And I just think it's deeper than that. You have to look beyond um, just just the surface level statistics or things that are like you're seeing on a as I mentioned on the surface level. Um, and another thing I want to get to right here because I've just seen obviously Kenny's KD and a lot of people saying that they should drop Kenny if they were going to drop anyone, and that is the stupidest decision like they could make ever because it's not a like for like change. You can't swap um, a guy who does what Kenny does on this team and add in Pred and expect that to change things. I just don't think they do two completely different things um, that impact the team, and it just doesn't make sense from a roles perspective, from a team chemistry perspective. Um, yeah, exactly. So the casual fan base is arguing that you don't drop the best player, but yeah, exactly. You're investing in, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like you invest in the potential of the team, and that's the most important thing. Like, what is your ceiling as a team? And I say this with any sport. I'm a big football, European soccer, American football, NFL fan, NBA basketball, and I'm always for going for the highest ceiling move. I don't like this argument of plug the gap in the interim and uh try and fix things in the intermediate level. It's always trying for me. It's always good teams will always make the play for the biggest for the highest ceiling. Obviously, good teams and organizations also obviously manage their floor so they don't completely suck. But yeah, you go for the team, and this wasn't long ago that they won a world championship together. So this isn't like this is a good move for me. Like I'm just on the side of this was the best thing that they could have done, and I think everyone can agree that once they did get Hook in, and obviously Pred had to go out for whatever reasons, and I might touch on that a little bit later. Um, their ceiling dropped as a team. Um, I just think I just think there's certain things that Pred does and his takeover ability in certain games to really um, just go absolutely nuclear when they need it. And his energy as well. I think from that perspective as well, Hook and him are very different in terms of a personality that they bring to the team. Um, but I'm confident that this will work out in the long run. And yes, I don't think you make decisions based off of a fear, like of a fear of Pred goes somewhere else. But I think it's smart in when you have a player as good as as uh as Pred. Yeah. So ultimately, I think sort of my obviously bottom line from this is that it's a uh good decision. Now, there's one caveat I'd like to make to this situation is I now this is there's no fact or anything. This is purely my sort of educated speculation based on what I've seen, based on the situation of what I understand, and I'm making a judgment based off of all those things. I think the vibes could be checked. potentially with this team. Partially because I don't necessarily prescribe to the belief that it was just mental health reasons that Pred had to step away from competing and step away from the organization, because I think if he steps away from competing, yeah, yeah, it's the optic conspiracy theory, mate. Um, I think if he's going through something, as anyone does, and everyone can go through things, ups and downs in life, I think he steps away from the team, and maybe they bring in Hook as a sub, and Pred's just on the bench and sits out the entirety of Major One, um, in terms of like everything, including the league matches, and he just takes that time away. But he was released from the organization completely for that period. Like he could not be associated with the brand, and so from that's like the first clue that kind of gives me like was a little bit like, okay, um, maybe it's not um, as black and white or as clear as they're projecting. And then also one thing, again, this is Twitter fucking investigations is the team, and I see like their tweets. Um, when Pred first got released from the team, he was like none of the players acknowledged it. No one gave him like if it's just mental health, like surely like I would have expected to see some public support on socials. I'm not saying that because they didn't care. I'm just saying that's what I would have expected. But there were a lot of positive tweets about Kyler joining and Hoop joining the team from all of those guys, and even now here, like you see, shitty situation, truly nothing but the best for Kyler. Guys, a unit. They've like yeah, he's obviously acknowledged the uh Hook leaving the team, but there's no sort of no there's no hype around Pred being back, and so I think something's obviously happened. What that might be, uh, I'm not sure. Um, there was again speaking to Arvin last night. There may be some theory over like a possible investigation, maybe around some things, and if it's a CDO official investigation, he can't be part of he can't be associated with an organization during that time whilst it is an active investigation. So that's just a theory. Again, that's pure speculation. Um, but it seems to be like it's not the same sort of vibes, post champs, pre champs around that time, during obviously MW3 season. So if there's anything that could go wrong with this team, I think that's the possibly there's you know relationships are a bit frayed because of whatever happened within that situation behind the stages. Um, that could be the 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 nail in the tire, the proverbial nail in the tire for this team. Um, but aside from that, which is obviously pure speculation, this team, this four right here, has the ceiling of being the best team at every single event and in the game overall. And when you have FaZe playing the way that they are, LAT looking as good as they are, just one stage into it, into the game, and obviously you expect them to continue a trajectory upwards. You have to go into the next stage with what you truly believe in your bones is the best team that you can put together. And for me, this four is the best team that OpTic could put together at this current moment, realistically speaking. Um, and so ultimately, I have no issues with what they've done. I do feel bad for Hook, and I do feel like he's had a tough go of it, given how well he's played. But if anything, he's really boosted his stock, and he will, and he should, if these CDL orgs have any sort of brains around them, he should end up on a good team. One of those teams that are on the cusp of being that fourth or fifth best team, potentially being a dark horse for contending for events um, at majors. And so, yeah, ultimately that's my take on the whole situation. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And let's see. I'm excited to see what happens in stage two. Thank you very much.